What is up, guys? Welcome back to the channel. Thanks so much for tuning back into another video. Bass fishing season's right around the corner. Been actually doing a bunch of tackle prep and just making sure that I'm all ready for the season to start. Now, I was actually looking at my jig box and I wanted to ask you guys a question. What's the similarities between all these jigs? They actually share one thing in common. These were all made right here at home. That's right, all these different types of jigs were made right here at home. And it only took a couple things to put these together. In today's video, I'm gonna show you how to make these. Let's start making our jig. So a lot of times people make these on their own. Since this is a lead jig, it's not that hard to make. They sell a bunch of kits online. I know lureparts.com sells individual hooks, different molds, lead molds for the heads and stuff, and a bunch of different weed guards. So you can mess around and pretty much build whatever you want. This time I just got this from Tackle Warehouse. It's just a Boss Outdoors Arky style jig head. This is a 3/8 ounce. I got in green pumpkin. I think they also have it in black. They have a couple different sizes too. As far as a skirt, I'm gonna be using this Bass Jig Tournament Skirt Jig Kit. It's got a bunch of different skirt colors inside of it, different patterns, kind of like a sampling of a bunch of different stuff that they offer on lureparts.com. So I thought that's pretty cool. And it comes with this, which is pretty important to putting the skirt together. It's a skirt making tool. You got some of your skirt stops. And they also come with these rattle attachments. They're not really the best. I feel like I break off a lot of them. Of course, they come with these rattles as well, which are using these. So let's figure out what color skirt to put together. I know in the bodies of water that I fish, the primary food sources are usually brim, like bluegill or even perch. I know with the spawn around the corner, I'm gonna go with more of a bluegill pattern. Now, bluegill profiles are not that hard to create. You could pretty much use any one of these and it can make a bluegill profile. But for this purpose, I'm gonna start off with just your basic green pumpkin as the base. I'm gonna add a little bit of the blue sapphire and just a hint of this as well. It's got a little bit of watermelon chartreuse type skirt material in here. It's got some glitter in there too. All right, so let's get started. So first thing I like to do is basically get all my layers out in front of me, and you'll see most of the time that they come in these tabs. So they basically come like this, and they're attached at the top over here. They're cut throughout the middle, and they're also attached at the bottom. And that's just so that it obviously doesn't come apart while you're building your skirt. So I'm just gonna lay it flat like that. Now, for my next color, I only want a slight touch of this blue sapphire. I don't want it to overpower it. So what I'm gonna do is, I'm just gonna basically rip this in half. They rip really easily, so just be careful. Just like that. I'm just gonna take a little bit of the blue. Save this blue for later. All right, 2 more steps. I'm gonna add this green pumpkin, watermelon, chartreuse type skirt on top of that. And then the last layer is gonna be our base, which is just natural green pumpkin. Now I know it doesn't look like much when it's just sitting here, but watch this. You can kind of see how the colors are gonna form together when you mix them up a little bit. It's not gonna look perfect right now, but I think this is what I want. Now, before we get our skirts all together onto here, you're gonna wanna make sure that you put one of your bands on. You're just gonna, see how there's a little hole in here? It's just a little rubber piece. You're just gonna slide it on, really similar to how you use those wacky tools with the O-rings. Just slide it right on, it might take a couple tries. Gotta get the right angle, and there you go. And now you're just gonna slip it down. It's literally the exact same as one of those wacky O-ring tools. And once I get it far enough down, right about there is good. Now notice how I'm not just hanging it like this. They kind of got out of alignment, so I'm just gonna make sure that they're all as straight as I can possibly get them, because the tiny shift in these tabs can alter where the placement of that color is in your skirt. Now this is the hardest part, which really isn't that hard at all. It's just making sure that you're keeping all your tabs together. See how we have our layers here? And what we're gonna do is, I'm just gonna hold them tight like this, right? I take my skirt tying tool here and just get that hanger, poke it right through the middle of all of them. Once I see it's in the middle like this, now sometimes it's a little harder to pull. If you have more tabs, you just want to make sure all of them are sitting on there. And then I just kind of gotta figure out how to bring it in the middle and just pull it up just like this. I'm gonna pull it up right about there It's a little less than half. I'm gonna hold the top here so it doesn't slide back down, and I'm just gonna push this collar right on the skirt, just like that. I'm gonna remove it from the hanger, and that should be our product right there. All right, so now that we got this all tied together, what I like to do is just bring this down slightly, and instead of just yanking on this down, that's gonna rip these threads, I'm gonna kind of put pressure on both sides and just slowly adjust it, just so that it gets a little closer to the middle, a little more. And you're gonna break off a few strands here and there, it's all right. Just about there. Now this is an important part. I know that this isn't completely even on both sides. It looks like this side's a tiny bit longer than this side. So what I'm gonna do is, and this is important, I'm gonna flip it over to this side. I'm just gonna put all my strands down, try to make it somewhat even. All right, so I want my blue on the bottom. So to do that, I'm just gonna put this over here. I'm just gonna feed the hook right through the center of that collar. Just push it all the way through. Now notice here, there's gonna be two bumps here I have to get over. This is the first one, this is the plastic holder, and this is where the skirt collar sits. So I'm just gonna put some pressure and just keep going. A lot of times people might stop here, but obviously that doesn't look good. And plus you're blocking the plastic keeper. So you just gotta push it above one more time. Just like that. You'll feel it just lift right above that little groove there. All right, now this just looks like a jumbled mess. There's a reason for it, because we still have these tabs intact. So what we're gonna do is, we're just gonna find each part where the tabs are connected and just cut them straight. So right here, these are where they're all connected. So take some scissors, just cut it straight across right underneath where all they're connected. Just like that. All right, now we cut all our tabs off. It's looking more like a jig. Now we're just gonna comb through this. Fingers, you can even use some tools and stuff. You could use this thing and just go like, just comb through it a little bit like that and try to get the strands that are stuck together out. I'll just do it with my hands. Another important tip, guys, just make sure that if you want, so for example, I want this blue to be exactly on the bottom of the jig. Right now it's a little bit too far to the one side. All I'm gonna do is I'm just gonna twist it around a little bit until I get it right where I want it. And I think that's right about where I want it. Maybe a little more. Just a gentle twist. Right about there is good. There you go. You could leave the skirt just like this, but what I really like to do with most of my jigs is trim the skirt up a little bit. I saw this tip from Randy Blockett, and he said that nothing in nature is exactly symmetrical, and I totally agree with him. I just want it to look a little more crazy, because when it's in the water, it's just gonna undulate a little more instead of just everything just being like a mop, just all together. And there's sometimes when you want that, but for this purpose, I'm just gonna trim up the skirt a little bit. So all I'm gonna do is, I'm not gonna come directly across like this. I know a lot of guys will tell you just cut right below the hook point. If it's really long like this, yeah, I'm gonna cut a little bit off right there. But, and as you can tell, it's all going on the ground. So I'd highly recommend you do this in front of the garbage can. I'm just gonna come up like this and just make small little cuts, just all around, just like randomly. It doesn't have to be perfect at all. You want it to be unnatural. A little bit jaggedy here and there. Some strands longer than the other. As you can see, it's already shortening up the skirt a little bit. I didn't even have to go across like that, but I also got that extra little crazy strands coming off the sides here. I'm just gonna fix like this. And you're gonna have to pull some off that didn't completely come off clean. You see how there's a bunch of different crazy strands going all around here? I think it just looks a little bit better in the water. It puffs out a little more, creates a little bit of a more bold presence, especially when the fish are a little bit finicky. It just adds a little more life to the skirt when they're kind of going all over the place when it's on the bottom. All right, now we're gonna pair it up with our trailer. So I got one with finesse craws and I got one with regular size craws. So I'm just gonna go through and see which one I like. Here's a little sneak peek what I got in here. Here. All right, so for this jig, I got two options here color-wise. Both of these would pair up very well with it color-wise, but in my opinion, since it's gonna be pre-spawn and spawn, I don't want something that has too aggressive of a kick right now. I usually save those type of baits for the summer. So something like a Strike King. This is the Scound Bug. It's got that rage tail on it. Those go pretty crazy in the water. I don't want to give that to them just yet. I want something a little more subtle. So I'm gonna give them the Pocket Slim Craw. All right, so obviously this craw is a lot bigger than the jig. This would not look good on the jig if I just kept it at that size. So I'm gonna shorten this a little bit. So to do that, all I'm gonna do is I'm just gonna kind of see where it's gonna sit on the hook first. And obviously this is way too long. So I'm just gonna keep looking at it, adjusting. Once I feel like I'm at the right length, it's right about there. That's a good profile. I'm gonna cut it right where my finger is at. So it looks like I gotta cut it right about here, right underneath this first little arm. So when I'm snipping this off, I'm not gonna go straight across. I mean, I don't really know if it makes a difference, but I just like coming, making a little bit of a cone shape, kind of like how the original bait is. So instead of coming straight across like that, just a little bit, round it off. So come like that on one side, other side, come like that. And I can just kind of snip this off, just make it rounded. I just feel like it sits on the bait a little better. All right, there we go. I'm just gonna pull these legs off. And there we go, we basically got a chunk. And a lot of times, some baits will have eyes on them, like these craws, you can see this side has eyes, this side doesn't. I just like to keep it consistent, so the side with the eyes goes up. I don't know if it's just like an OCD thing or what, but I don't know, I just feel like if I'm rating something up, I wanna do it right. So to make sure that this is completely straight on the hook like this, I'm just gonna line it up just like this and see just where the hook point comes out, which is gonna be right here. I'm just gonna mark it right there. Just put a little hole in the plastic so I know that's where I'm going to come out, like that. And then I'm going to just come right through the center. Try and push all the way through, keeping it as straight as possible. Let it go above the bend of the hook. And then I'm gonna find that place right here. I don't know if you can see where I poke the plastic. So just make sure that hook point comes right through the middle of that. Right down the center. And then you wanna make sure that the skirt is out of the way before you push up all the way down. And just get it right over that plastic keeper, and look at that. It's literally perfectly straight. There you go. That jig looks great. I'm really impressed with that. And it's crazy because we made all of this on our own except for the lead jig head, which you can make at home if you have the materials for it. We pretty much made this 100% at home. And that will definitely catch you fish. So don't feel like you need to go and buy all these different pre-made jigs on the market. There are definitely some that I really still love and I'll continue to buy and support. But in my opinion, if I'm just getting some jigs that I want to toss around, I'm not too worried about hanging them up or losing them, I'm gonna throw this. Also, you're gonna wanna make sure before you fish this, obviously, spread the weed guard out. You don't want all the strands to just be in one spot right on top of the hook. That'll definitely affect your hookup ratio. But yeah, that's pretty much it. If you really wanted to, you could have added a jig rattle in it before you put the trailer on. You could add a couple different strands of little tinsel or different types of skirt material. There's endless possibilities with this jig making stuff. This is definitely something great to do when we got ice out on the lakes over here. So it's a good way to prep for the season, especially when you know you're gonna be fishing a lot of jigs. A lot of times you're gonna get snags, and it happens. You're not gonna be too worried about losing this jig because it's so easy to make at home. You can make hundreds of them and just get back right on the water. All right guys, that's gonna be it for today's video. I really love how this one turned out. I think it looks spectacular. It's beautiful bluegill imitator. It's also got that craw trailer on the back that I really love. I'm definitely gonna be throwing it this spring, hopefully get some catches for you guys on video. If you guys found this video helpful and learn how to tie your own jigs, please hit that like and subscribe button. Really appreciate it. And drop a comment down below if the different color you wanna see, or if a different tip you wanna see about jigs, or just any future video ideas you got. As you can see, it was so easy to make this at home. It's really not that much effort. You can make hundreds of these and just get ready for the season, put them in your jig box. You got a bunch of them for whenever you get snagged or whenever you need a new one. You don't gotta go to the store because you already have these pre-made. Thanks so much for tuning into this video. I'll see you guys in the next video.